Hey everyone, Roxbox9 here with some more Thero spoilers. So we have 3 or 4 tonight. We might have some more in the AM, maybe even from the mothership itself. But for tonight, we are going to have 3 or 4 coming in. And the first one is Soldier of the Pantheon, which is a rare, kind of taking over, I think, from Champion of the Parish in terms of that white drop. Although there's a couple that are competing for that slot, but this one is a rare. So 1 white for a 2/1, so 2/1 power. Human Soldier, protection from multicolored. So that's pretty interesting, especially because the set's supposed to be monocolored oriented. So the fact that they're making multicolored shows that they're thinking about the general standard environment and the fact that we're in a very multicolored meta as of now. So that's interesting to get protection from multicolored. Whenever an opponent casts a multicolored spell, you gain 1 life. That may not seem like much, but again, given that we are in a generally multicolored meta, the fact that anytime your opponent casts a multicolored spell, you gain a life, it's not such a big deal, but even if it gains you 2, 3, 4 life over the course of the game from a 1-drop, that's a pretty solid, nice boost. And 1 for a 2/1 protection for multicolored, even without that ability, is very solid. Now, should he have been a 2/2 because, strictly better Isamaru or something? Probably not, just because he's not legendary, but it kind of feels, for a rare, like it's just not quite there. I think it'd be cooler for his protection from monocolor, just given the flavor of the set, especially because he seems to be beating a Minotaur and I believe a Cyclops, so it's like those are both mono red pretty much, or generally mono red, so it just feels flavor-wise like it would be monocolored. But it's an interesting card. It's going to be a great pick for limited, just in terms of you're going to have a 1-drop. This will probably be one of the best 1-drops to pick, and I think this actually does have a chance of seeing play in Constructed. Then we have Nessian Courser, which is actually Flash of the Past. Nessian Courser is a Futureshifted card, probably the Futureshifted card that was spoiled to us by Mark Rosewater, or told to us by Mark Rosewater, which is kind of disappointing. It's a very powerful limited card, especially for a common 3 for a 3/3 is solid green aggro, no questions asked. And the fact that it's not future shifted is kind of I guess. And this art is actually one of the more lackluster arts, I think, of the set. Look at this, and then look at this. I just don't think it's quite there. Kind of depressing if this is the card. It probably is, since we know it is a future shifted card, whereas others are just speculation. If this turns out to be the future shifted card brought back, that's kind of going to be disappointing, but it's definitely a solid limited pick, so at least there's that. Then we have, I think this is called Demon Heart Chimera. It's 1, a blue and a red for a star 3, flying trample chimera. Its power is equal to the number of instants and sorceries in your graveyard. Notice it's only your graveyard, so if it was all graveyards, that would be kind of broken. Notice again, this is where the rarities are getting very weird for me in Theros, because you have counter spells that are really weird set at rare status, and then we have a card like this, which is pretty bonkers. In 3, even if it's 3 for a 1/3 flying trample to start, is already pretty ridiculous, but we know there's going to be a lot of good control spells, so chances are this card's going to end up being 3 for a 3/3, almost not quite guaranteed, but with that, it shouldn't be too difficult to make it 3 for a 3/3 flying trample, which is already pretty insane. And of course, it can be even bigger as the game goes on. Even later game it could be 3 for a 4/3 5/3. It can get pretty crazy. And of course, in limited, this card is absolutely bonkers for an uncommon. Really, Wizards, with some of the stuff going on. In fact, we're going to get to our last preview, which I seriously think should have been mythic compared to some of the stuff we're seeing. So it seems like Wizards just is not quite hitting it on the head. As an uncommon, this is going to be a crazy powerful limited card, without a doubt, and actually I think has constructive viability just because it's so low on the curve. And given that control, especially in these colors, tends to have a couple of 2 to 3 instant sorceries in the graveyard by the time this would hit play. So that, I think, is pretty ridiculous. And speaking of something that should be what it isn't, Prognostic Sphinx, which besides for feeling mythic, given, we've Sphinxes in the past. Look, we just had one in 2014, which was mythic. We had Consecrated Sphinx, which was mythic, both of which are pretty powerful cards. And this card, I honestly think rivals, maybe not quite Consecrated, but it definitely beats that 2014 mythic. It's 3 and 2 blue for to cast. It's a 3/5 Sphinx. Flying, discard a card, prognostic, I keep thinking progenitor, or progenitus Sphinx. It's prognostic Sphinx, gains hexproof until end of turn, but you must tap it. Then, whenever it attacks, scry 3. Notice, okay, this is again why it should be mythic. The card from 2014 is mythic, and as whenever it attacks, I think you draw a card. I think that's what it does, or whenever a creature with flying attacks, draw a card, something like that. Whenever this creature attacks, you scry 3. Whoa, scry 3. Remember Preordain, how that card was so powerful and only scryed 2? Scrying 3 every single time this card attacks means that once it starts swinging, you get to control your draws. Period. It's like, not quite brainstorm, but in our current standard format, it's going to basically allow you to set up the rest of the game in your favor just by having an attack every turn, which you'll probably want to do because, to protect it, if they're going to try to deal with it on your turn, which they can, there are instant speed removal spells, then you want it to be tapped and swinging, because if you discard a card, it gains hexproof on the turn. If it's already tapped and attacking, then you can't tap it, and it gains the hexproof. So that's pretty ridiculous. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. That once you're swinging and attacking, you don't have to worry about that. You can just discard a card to protect it, which is pretty ridiculous. And 5 for 3/5, sure, the power level maybe is not quite the mythic that was in 2014, but come on, I think that's pretty close. I mean, look at our what's a 4/4 Metamai, whatever his name is, who's only a 4/4 for 6, and yeah, he also has a ridiculous ability. But what I'm saying is that the 3/5 power toughness is fine for a 5-drop. Flying, discard a card, it gains hexproof. What? So, I mean, it could fill a hexproof deck, top of the curve easily. And being able to scry 3 sets up all your controls, all your removals, all your counters. It's just unreal. And the fact that this is sitting at a rare, really, Wizards? It just seems really strange to me what's going on. I mean, you guys see this? This card is going to be uncommon for limited. This card is going to be rare based on the other mythics we've seen in the past that are Sphinx related and that have kind of, relatable abilities. And then we have so many different cards that just seem like, what's going on? I know you're trying to balance limited, but some of these cards just don't make sense in their placement on the rarity scale. All right. Maybe you guys agree, maybe you disagree. Please let me know your thoughts about both these cards and my thoughts regarding this issue in the comments section. I'm still waiting for some cool spells, Wizards, so if you can get some of those to us, I think that'd be great. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section as well. Check out my channel sponsors in the description of the video. And as always, Roxabox and 90 signing out. I'll see you guys next time.